Hi there, beautiful soul. Have you ever heard the sentence that your body keeps the score? And not only does your body keeps the score, this is, by the way, a famous book that was written by Bessel van der Kolk, who is one of the world's topmost psychiatrists who deals in healing traumas. But your body actually keeps the score, and what's worse, your mind, your thinking mind, hides the score, so it kind of keeps it out of our sight. So we have many blind spots in our body. And today I want to talk about that a little bit, because I want to make sure that you get the invitation to my upcoming 7-day immersion for a small group of people who want to do a deep healing, who want to really achieve transformation in their own life, step up and evolve. And perhaps you might want to become the healer, the go-to person in your family or in your community. Also, if you're already a healer, a coach or a therapist, this mind-body groundbreaking, it's certification in advanced mind-body healing that I'm going to offer in November might be for you as well. So it's for newbies, for people who are complete beginners, for people who don't know anything. You can come in and look with fresh eyes. Or it's for people like you, if you've already been on your journey of personal or spiritual development for a while, and you want to step up and fast forward your evolution. Or if you are a caring person and you want to heal your own blind spots or work with other people or animals or plants even, it will go across the board. It's on the 1st of November till the 7th, so for 7 days. At my beautiful retreat here in Forth in Tasmania, where we live on 9 acres of gardens, forest, labyrinths, mazes, and morning and afternoon tea is supplied. Plus you receive 2 workbooks that we are going to work through. As you can see, it's called the Miracle Method, and it will turn you into a detective, a healing detective or coach, whatever you like to call it. So I just want to make sure that you get this information. So now let me just explain what it means that your body keeps the score, and I will illustrate it by sharing a story that still hurts me in my body, by the way. I don't know if I will ever fully recover from it, but it's in my awareness, so I know that it's lost its power over me, except that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt me, right? So when we experience trauma, especially as a child, that goes into our body and it basically gets frozen and we forget about it because we have to continue living our lives. But often by the time we are 30 or 40, the body hasn't got what it takes anymore to suppress those traumas. So by the time we're 40, often people start to get aches and pains, so you might get an accident, your relationships fall apart, or you start to suffer, you start to experience heartbreak because the old traumas are surfacing. And this is what this training is all about, that you can detect what's going on in the subconscious mind, which is actually 99% of who we are, but it's hidden from us, so that you can connect with it and clear those traumas before they turn into heartbreaks. So I grew up in Holland in a small village, and I had an idyllic life, that's what I thought. My parents were very loving, hardworking people. They survived the brutality of the Second World War in Holland. So as children they saw cruelty, they witnessed terrible heartbreak. And so their nervous system, of course, was always set on survival. And then I was born in the 1960s when everything was good. And my parents were loving people, but we were never allowed to have pets because I'm sure my parents didn't have the emotional bandwidth to have spare money or energy for pets, right? So there were 5 of us kids, I was number 2, but I always adored small animals and big animals, but small animals in particular, but we weren't allowed to have pets. So one time I begged my father for some money and he gave me a guilder, a Dutch guilder, and I bought a little rabbit from the neighbor and I built a little rabbit cage and I nurtured the rabbit. It became a full-grown rabbit, and in my mind's eye, I was saving the rabbit from the Christmas pot, right? I had saved at least 1 rabbit, and I was feeding it every day. I'd given it a name. I also had a pet goat that her name was Trudy. And one time when I came home from school, though, the rabbit had disappeared and it was in the pot. So we had to have that for dinner that night, right? And I didn't dare not to eat it because that would have incurred a hiding from my dad. And I was very scared of my father's beatings. So I ate the rabbit. But to this day, and I'm eating a piece of cake now, like pumpkin pie from the Purple House Cafe, which is organic and super delicious. To this day today, whenever I eat a delicious dish halfway through, and Peter will vouch for this, often my stomach will close and I literally cannot eat another mouthful. And it's purely psychological. I actually don't mind because it stops me from eating too much. And I'm sure that's to do with the fact that I had to unexpectedly eat my own baby rabbit, and then further down the track, of course, the baby goat got slaughtered and put in on a plate as well. But this is not the worst trauma. The worst trauma, one of the worst moments that I remember, was when I was about 6 and I was playing with a cat. So my parents reluctantly let us have, or me anyway, cats. They had to stay outdoors. So I had lots of rescue cats that I used scraps from the kitchen. And my father had a breadcrumb factory, so I stole bread and breadcrumbs from the factory, and I mixed it all up with like old tea and coffee from my mom's kitchen and sugar and whatever else stuff that I liked, that I thought the cats would like. And so I had a lot of like cats that I was very attached to. And one time I was playing outside with one of my kittens and I'd just been cuddling it, and to me as a little child that felt like that was my own baby. And before I knew it, the kitten escaped and ran across the road, and a farmer came along and just drove over the top, didn't look, and my kitten was gone, like it turned into a pancake. Now, at the time, nobody better than I, right? Because remember, this is back in Holland, not long after the Second World War, and nobody cared about cats or rabbits. Anyway, so I stood there horrified, and then I raced into the kitchen where my mom was, and I was just crying and screaming really hysterically. I think I was hysterical because my heart was broken. And my father had just been having a little power nap after lunch, and he came out and he started beating me up. So I got a big hiding for crying about my cat, which was like utter nonsense in his opinion. Those kind of emotions, that kind of display of emotions was forbidden in our household, or in his manual anyway. My mom was very caring. She was different, so she was always in a way buffer between my dad and the kids, but my father just didn't have that sort of patience. And perhaps he even meant, well, he might have thought, I have to harden her up for the rest of her life because the world's not a nice place. I totally get that, but the point is that pain had nowhere to go other than deep into my tissues, so deep into my tissues that I created a trauma program that repeated itself. So I moved to Tasmania, so I literally couldn't move further away from Holland. And when I was, 26, sorry, I was 26. My second child, my little daughter, who was 4 at the time, she ran across the road unexpectedly in Launceston, and right in front of my eyes, she was hit by a four-wheel drive and left again for dead on the road. It was again a summer day. This always happens in the summer. She only had a little underpants on because it was a hot day, and you know, I heard the car screech, the brakes, and then here my little daughter was left for dead. And at that point, I remember I didn't cry, I didn't scream, but I just felt like my body split in half from the shock, and this silent scream was going round and round inside my body. Well, luckily it all ended well. The ambulance came, and miraculously, my little girl, she was only unconscious for 24 hours, and then she woke up without any scratches or anything. She had a concussion and she fully recovered. But again, I had nowhere to go with my feelings, and Pete had to come from Scottsdale back to Launceston. And I just remember feeling like that I was being a nuisance, it was all my fault, I created all these dramas. And so Peter at the time, he also didn't know how to deal with it. He was just concerned for Lisanne and my emotions, didn't get a look in. Also, interestingly enough, when you look at, of course, my subconscious mind shows somebody like Peter, who comes from a family of all boys from Tasmania, except for one sister, but his sister, of course, was outnumbered. His mum also was emotionally very removed, very loving though, and warm-hearted. But she was traumatized during the Second World War, so same history. So emotions were like they weren't forbidden, but they just weren't taken into consideration. So Peter, in our early days, was very, very obtuse to everything that was going on inside of me. And I kept it very well hidden as well, because I had excellent training to do so. So fast forward to when I was 43, and eventually all that pain had nowhere to go, right? The pain in my tissues, the body keeps the score. It's another quiet summer's day, and I'm getting into the car on the side of the road in Forth, and a truck comes along driven by a Dutch farmer again in Tasmania. Like, I mean, talk about coincidental. That coincident, they don't exist, you know that. And so the truck came along, just crashed into my back, left me lying on the road, completely mangled, and he didn't bat an eyelid, right? He reluctantly turned around and wasn't sorry or anything. Didn't show any kindness or remorse. By the way, that's beside the point. But I'm painting a picture here that our deepest hurts, we can pretend that they don't exist, but they take on a life of their own, and sooner or later they're going to cause us deep heartbreak. And it doesn't have to be as dramatic as mine, right? I'm 63 now, I'm fully recovered. And the blessing of that final event was that the accident was so severe that I had a near-death experience, which opened me right up to source, and I was able to source the force, not force the source. That's one of my favorite sayings now. So we can stop forcing ourselves and stop pressuring ourselves and stop adjusting and modifying and resisting what's in us, and connect straight into source, which is the universe or God or the divine, and allow that energy, the unconditional love or light, our own limitless self, our spirit, to heal us, right? So from that accident, I learned how to do that, because for a moment I was plugged into the field, or returned to the field where we all come from, by the way, which is the field of infinite love and consciousness and wisdom, and where we are completely free from burdens. It's the most blissful place. We come from that and we return to that, and we can tap into that today even, and clear our traumas from ourselves. In my opinion, that is the most valuable thing for me. That's always been my passion in life. I've known from a very young age, probably from birth, that I wanted to be a healer. I've always been conscious of other people's suffering, and I want to connect people in so they can stop suffering and start thriving. Because the truth is, in our universe there are only two forms of energy. There's the energy of pain and contraction. There's the energy of growth and evolution, which is freedom and happiness, where we thrive. And we're either living in one or the other, right? And what I see is that too many people are just constantly living in a state of contraction. They're showing up small, they lose their joy. So even if you don't have pain in your life, other things could be going on for you, right? That cause you to constantly feel like you've got one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake, and life is not flowing in the way that it should. So if you feel that's you, do book in for a session with me, or please consider joining me for my elite mastermind group of people who are brave enough to come along for the ride for 7 days and be fully immersed in the healing energy. You get to discover the technique that I have created. I created the miracle method, which for the left brain people. If you're a left brain person, just let me read out some of the things that we're going to do. So you're going to learn how to identify allergies, to clear them, how to identify toxins in your body and clear them straight away, how to clear self-sabotagers and sabotagers, how to feel the energy, how to feel where it's blocked. You're going to clear fears and phobias, unresolved trauma, physical pain and stress. You're going to clear generational trauma, so ancestral traumas. You're going to find anti-life programs. So I had an anti-life program running in my body. There are people who have death wishes in their body, so they always want to die. So I'm going to teach you how to clear that. We're also going to clear mineral deficiencies, negative belief systems, soul traumas, karmic loops where you just keep coming back and back. We're going to clear entities, energetic distortions, grief, and then we are going to make sure that you're fully aligned with the universal laws. So our universe operates on 36 different laws that govern the flow and the abundance and synchronicity, which is good luck. And if you are out of alignment even with one of those laws, your life is not going to flow as easy as it could. So that is for the left brain. If you're listening to me, these are some of the details, but there's much more. And if you're a right brain person, like a big picture person, basically what it looks like is 7 days of soaking in the healing vibes, being surrounded by other people, on like-minded people, receiving healing, being plugged into the universe or source, so that you immediately get an upgrade, because your nervous system consists of nerve pathways that are constantly pinging away, right, all day long. And when you are learning from me, your nervous system is automatically going to absorb all the knowledge that I have that is running my nervous system, and it gets a download. So this is called mirror neurons. So it's like you learn even without having to put in any effort, just simply being in the same atmosphere. So I feel very excited about taking a group of people through a very transformative, supportive, nurturing journey for a week. The class is almost full, I'm happy to say. So if I have too many people, I will put your name on the list for the next 7-day immersion. So I'm hoping that you open the link below and have a read and see if this is calling out to you, and listen to your intuition, because the universe talks to you in feather brick track, right? So don't ignore the little feathers, like the little tickles or warning signs that the universe gives you, because the next warning sign might be a brick, and then it might be a truck, like it happened for me. But it's all done because the universe wants us to live a life of prosperity, where we feel in alignment, where we're shining and stepping into our gifts, and when we feel fully alive. We're not meant to be living other people's dreams. We're meant to be living our own dreams, right? And so I would like you to experience what that feels like. All right. I hope you can resonate with my story. Let me know what you think, if I expressed this, if it was a good example to use. I know that it was a bit brutal, but I learned a lot from reading back through my own history. And then I'm also learning a lot today from watching my own sons, who are fathers, like my father used to be, right? And they have little daughters. And I used to be that little daughter one time. And now I realize the severity of the traumas that I experienced as a child. Even though I know my father loved me dearly, he loved me as much as my sons love their little girls. But I just see how beautiful my sons are with their children. They're intelligent, they're kind and patient and heartfelt and connected, and they're so protective of their children. And also they're so protective of their children's emotional well-being as well. So I'm happy to say that our universe and humanity is evolving in the right direction, especially in places like Australia, where we have the safety to become better people and to be vulnerable and to do our healing work. And I want to take advantage of that, because we have the luxury here to learn all this and to rebuild our communities, and then it can flow into different parts of the world where humans are not free, right? So this is also important, and just watching the new generation dealing with their children's little sensitive neurology, I understand how deeply traumatizing it was for me, and that's important as well, because till we acknowledge our own pain, and we can't heal it, right? So acknowledging is half the healing, and bringing awareness to it. So let me know what you think, and if you find this interesting, what's going on for you when you listen to me. Do you recognize you have energetic patterns running in the background of your life? Do you want to dissolve them? If you do, come for a session with me, or join me for the immersion, and let's see what we can change. Thank you for being part of my community. Remember, we have a beautiful cafe here that's open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, where you can enjoy nourishing food and sit in our beautiful environment. And that's healing in itself. Take care of yourself. Big love from me. Bye for now.